Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, your main proprietor to Tenkar's Tavern blog. By the way, there's a link in the bottom of the screen, tenkars-tavern.games/cipher or cipher. I'm never quite sure how to pronounce that. I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comment section, but that is a link to Humble Bundle and specifically a link to Monty Cook's Cipher system, but also Patolis, Banewarns, and a few other, I guess, stuff from early third edition that Monty did as an independent publisher, as a third party. It's very good stuff. I couldn't tell you much about the Cipher system, but I would say that Patolis and Banewarns and the rest of the third edition stuff is very usable for the OSR. Or I guess theoretically even 5e, but for the OSR, it's very easy to convert. So why do I have ICE's Arms Law and Claw Law up on the screen? Well, it's a conversation currently going on in the Tenkars Tavern Facebook community, and it's dealing with, I guess I could say, of all things, more realistic combat options, which I'll be honest, kind of makes me scratch my head. Uh, Chris actually says, I'm seeking a straightforward open source solution to enrich the realism in the Osric First Edition adventure game that I predominantly run. My players and I are eager to create a more immersive experience by incorporating detailed injury mechanics while we continue to utilize hit points. We wish to introduce a system where sustaining more than 10 points of damage results in specific injuries complete with vivid descriptions. For instance, a character might suffer a sprained knee or a broken wrist, each bringing its own set of limitations and consequences. This additional layer of depth would significantly enhance our gameplay, providing a more tangible sense of risk and realism. Does anyone know of any PDFs or affordable resources that could help us achieve this level of detail in our adventures? Well, as was pointed out in the thread, Arms Law and Claw Law, and I'm looking at this picture I found online. This photo is the edition that I owned back in the day, although I remember ads for it way before I picked it up in Dragon magazine. Arms in animal and martial arts combat adaptable to any FRP fantasy roleplay system. And this was pretty much written to be an add-on to D&D. And it has critical charts and damage, and it has hit point damage for sure. Here's where I come down on criticals. And I don't my gaming group doesn't necessarily agree with me, but here's how I look at it. When your party of adventurers are adventuring, right? They are meant to go, especially if they're exploring a dungeon, from encounter to encounter, gradually getting whittled down, right? This is part of it. That's the whole 24-hour adventuring day trope or 8-hour adventuring day trope. Once the spells are done and the healing spells are gone, the party's got to rest. Well, that is true because hit points are a resource, and D&D and D20 games in general are about resources. In the end, right? So what happens if you add in criticals? Well, criticals have a detrimental effect on both the player side and the adversaries, the monster side, the NPC side. However, whereas the player side is going from encounter to encounter to encounter, the side of the enemies is going from encounter dead or defeated, encounter dead or defeated. Because otherwise, if the players are defeated, it's a whole other story. But the point is that the players are expected, their PCs, their characters, are expected to progress. So if you start adding in, and this is just like basic criticals, like natural 20 does double damage. Okay, well, we can do that. Or natural 20 does max damage. It's going to have more of an effect on the PCs in the long run during that game session than it will on the monsters, who often are felled with one blow. So that whether you did max or not has might not have as much of an effect. But max on a player character has a significant effect, or double damage on a player character has a significant effect. Now, when we move on to arms law and claw law, you have specific effects that aren't just hit point damage. You will have the sprained knee, uh, the character that's gutted, blinded temporarily or permanently, disfigurement, broken bones. And yes, that is, listen, I ran Rollmaster and I ran MERP using the Rollmaster critical charts because they were more fun than the MERP charts. For off and on for a number of years with my gaming group in college, and everybody enjoyed the shit out of the crits until I realized and explained that, hey, yeah, you shot that orc in the eye and you blinded him, and then you killed him. So that blindness made nothing. But you got shot in the eye and you're blinded. That's going to carry over for the next 100 sessions until you get that healed. Now, here's the problem with OGL/D20 games is that there aren't spells that are made to heal injuries. They heal hit points, right? Unless you get to the heal spell, which restores lost limbs, but that's a level 6 cleric spell. So criticals, while they can be exciting and fun, are more of a hindrance, more of an impetus to the players, the PCs, progressing than it is any kind of boon for the damage that they do against the NPCs. It's kind of like adding dysentery rules to your game. It's a level of detail that, in my opinion, doesn't add to the game experience, just kind of makes it something that you don't want to experience. But now, again, I ran Rollmaster and MERP, and we had a great time doing it. And those rules were built around it, and you had healing spells that were meant to not just heal hit points, but to bind wounds, set bones, restore vision, do away with the scarring and all that stuff. So I think, can it be done? Yes. Do I think D20 and the OSR rules that are based off of D&D and its clones and its simulacrums are the ideal systems for such a detailed damage system? No. If you're going to go for that, if you want a system like that, Rollmaster, against the Dark, was it against the Dark Lord or against the Dark Master, which is the clone? What is it? Harp, which is another game from ICE, which I think it's a little bit less detailed than Rollmaster. These are options. So these are games that are built with the idea that these criticals from the ground up incorporating that. I don't personally believe that D&D and any of its old or new flavors is made to adjust for such. But tell me what you think. I think it's an interesting topic. And again, my players and I, when I say my players, my gaming group. Right now, I'm playing in Joe the Lawyer's AD&D 2e game by the book with infinite house rules. We always find out new house rules and go, huh? Oh yeah, it was always there. Just didn't tell you about it. Love you, Joe. But this thing called criticals, especially when it has damage that has a long-term effect, long-term damage almost never has an effect on an NPC or a monster because they're meant, your players are going to kill them in that one encounter, right? They aren't originally meant to return. Your players their characters are meant to return, not just from session to session, from encounter to encounter. And long-term permanent disfigurements and injuries like that, I don't think that the D20 systems are built for that. But hey, tell me how I'm wrong, or tell me how I'm right. By the way, tonight, Jeff Talanian is our special guest. Yes, Mr. Astonishing Swordsman and Sorcerer of Hyperborea. Now, Hyperborea is going to be guesting with myself, Bad Mike, and possibly Jim Kitchen. So it's going to be a full house, a great show. Jeff is a great guest and does some great work. Hey, I'll have to ask him about crits. And permanent, long-term disfiguring damages. Topic for tonight. All right, folks, on that note, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll this dice, roll them well. Again, we don't do advertising, so like, subscribe, comment. And I know about the YouTube ads, but I'm saying like we don't do sponsorships. We don't chill. We do affiliate links, and there'll be affiliate links pinned to this as a comment, and then the show notes. If you want to help the channel, always a great way. And otherwise, hopefully, I see you all tonight. Laters.